let's look in on the Henry Ford Museum at Michigan's Greenfield Village. It's there we'll find a steam railroad running the same engine that Thomas Edison gave to Henry Ford.
No visit to Michigan would be complete without a stop at Greenfield Village, which is part of the Henry Ford. Located in Dearborn, very near Detroit, visitors will find a testament to America's past and ingenuity. Of course, they'll also find a railroad.
The Henry Ford consists of 5 venues. The one we're in this morning is Greenfield Village, which is 200 acres, 84 historic structures, and really presents American history and traditions, 300 years of American history. And it's really the centerpiece of the Henry Ford. Henry Ford Museum in Greenfield Village was founded in 1929. Henry Ford began collecting the materials really of everyday life in the 19-teens and 1920s. And he had a vision for this place really as an educational institution, and that's what it was founded as. Where we're standing in this morning at the Roundhouse in Greenfield Village, this is actually a structure that was reconstructed here in 2000, and it has components from an 1884 roundhouse in Marshall, Michigan. So it's here at the Detroit, Toledo, and Milwaukee Railroad Roundhouse in Greenfield Village that we maintain our fleet of locomotives and other railroad rolling stock to allow us to bring those stories to life every day.
The railroad trip is the perfect way to see the village, and you'll learn a lot along the way.
Greenfield Village Railroad takes visitors a 2.5-mile trip around Greenfield Village. It's got 3 stops, and it takes you through 80 acres of Greenfield Village. So many visitors kind of hop on that train right at the beginning, get the overview, figure out what they're going to want to see later on, and that's the way to do Greenfield Village, because you can spend a couple of days here.
There are static displays here, but it's the roundhouse that's home to the operating side of the railroad collection. This equipment ranges from an authentic 1800s steam train to a relatively new diesel-electric.
Greenfield Village has 3 operating locomotives, and the train pulling out in Greenfield Village today is our Edison locomotive, which was actually a gift from Thomas Edison to Henry Ford, celebrating a certain style of train that he liked. And our other steam locomotive that we use is an example of how the Henry Ford continues Henry Ford's vision. Henry Ford saw William Mason, a train builder from Connecticut, as sort of particularly innovative and resourceful, sort of a bare bones designer of locomotives, and always wanted to collect one. Well, in the 1960s, we found one way up north in northern Michigan that was working on the mines. Then we acquired the Torch Lake, which continues to be today one of the oldest operating steam locomotives in the world. Our final engine that we use from time to time now out in Greenfield Village shows a different style of technology, and how better to sort of tell the story of innovation than tracking technology through time. That's a General Electric diesel electric that was actually built in 1942 and worked in naval yards. So we tell a lot of different stories here, and again, the whole place is all about innovation. The trains that operate out in Greenfield Village, well, they're all maintained in our roundhouse. We have a staff of 8 folks that well, for every hour that they're out on the rails, there needs to be another hour of maintenance to make sure that those trains are up and ready and running and ready to go. A lot of people look at trains today and say, oh, well, they're old-fashioned bits of technology. You got to remember that in the 19th century, when locomotive service starts coming around, I mean, from here in Detroit to get to New York, you're looking at a 2-week trip. Then you boil that down to 2 days after the railroad is installed. So that really shrinks the world, much like technology that we know is new today is continuing to do so. So it's really part of this big story of, again, of innovation. Henry Ford Museum houses one of the largest and most diverse train collections really in the world. The biggest example, of course, is quite possibly the largest train ever built, which is the C&O 1601, or the Mighty Allegheny as we call it. That sort of just surprises people to be inside. We put that next to a replica that was built for the 1898 World's Fair called the DeWitt Clinton, which is the beginning of steam power.
Most students of history agree that it's important to learn from our past, but no book can take the place of experiencing it yourself.
Without the railroad, Greenfield Village would be a little quieter, I could tell you that much, but I think it would miss partly a great way to see Greenfield Village in an overview, And again, you would be missing part of the personality of what goes into all of the experiences that we offer that collectively become known as Greenfield Village. It's a really unique site, and that would pull just a little bit of that uniqueness out.